Before I actually start with the meeting, sadly I have to do this, but we had a Jackson County Public Schools student pass away yesterday evening. He was a preschool student at San Gap Elementary School, David Gray, and I have a statement from Ms. Freeman, who's our preschool coordinator, about David. She said David grew to love being in school and thrived as a student in Ms. Tracy Van Winkle's class at San Gap Elementary this year. He will be remembered as a vigilant, vibrant little boy who always shared a smile, was eager to be a classroom helper, and wanted to assist his teacher and classmates in any way that he needed. A tree will be planted at San Gap Elementary School in his memory. So we're very sorry about David, and our thoughts and prayers go out to his parents, family, and friends. And if everybody would, we'll have a brief moment of silence for David. Thank you very much. In item 2, communications, we're very fortunate to have Joey and Abby here tonight with Integrity Architecture, and they've got a presentation concerning our Jackson County Middle School renovation project. So Joey and Abby, whenever you're ready, we'll turn the floor over to you.
We've been working on this for a little while now. We've done a few different studies and kind of working within the budget and parameters of what we're doing here at this school. Obviously, there's some exciting things going on with the change in school colors and the new logo we've got here. Abby pulled this up. She's got a PowerPoint presentation that'll kind of walk you through the different various additions and renovations that we're doing onto and inside of the school. And some of those are obviously revolve around the fact that you got some new school colors and a new logo. So we're going to be doing some things to have that evolve throughout this design. And then a big part of this is an expansion of the cafeteria and renovation of the restrooms and things like that. So, and a very nice drop-off canopy that's going to be extended out the full length of the bus drop-off. So Abby's been the project manager on this. We staff all of our projects, may have much more people working on them, but we staff them with a principal and a project manager. And we like to keep that consistency throughout the project. So Abby's put this PowerPoint together. We're working with Contour Collaboration, which is a landscape design firm that they work strictly in the school fields and have done so for 15 plus years. So they've worked on some of the exterior improvements, site improvements that we're suggesting for this. I think you all may be aware, and if you're not, I'll let you know that this is construction management. So the construction manager is on board with the design team. Part of the evolution of the project is going through and assessing what the district has to spend on the facility. And because this money is being spread throughout the facility, we're looking carefully at each one of those components with the construction manager, putting those pricing together. And they're helping us work with a design that's going to fit within that budget. So a lot of that is pulled together at the same time. It's different than a design bid build where we design something and then you wait until you bid the project out and then you hope that we've guessed right. Construction manager, particularly with today's volatile bidding environment, the prices have been very weird after 2020. So they're up and down, and it helps us not only give cost estimates early on in the project, but also consider materials, HVAC equipment, electrical panels. There's certain things that we know because the construction manager is looking at this in real time, things that may be long lead items, things that may, hey, if instead of doing it this way with this particular material, let's think about these other two materials because we can get those at a lower rate, or those that haven't had the volatility. So that's another special thing about this project, that evolution of the design that you're seeing today has been informed from the construction side with the CM that is also the owner's agent. So I'll turn it over to Abby and let her kind of walk through the project herself.
Yeah, so like Joey mentioned, we do have some exterior and interior renovation items. I'm going to start with the interior, and I'm going to do this overview. So the colored items are all big things that we're covering here, and I want to cover you know, all of those. There are some also smaller cosmetic things that we'll be doing, like painting and such, but we won't go over those mostly today. We'll just talk about some of the bigger items. So I'll do this, I'll do a overall view, and then we do have a 3D model and some other renders and stuff, just so that you guys can see these things, how they're actually gonna look, hopefully. So the biggest thing, obviously, that we're doing is this cafeteria addition. It's close to 1,200 square feet, and we are adding it right here, kind of centered on this wall. We could have pulled it all the way over here, but in thinking about lighting and whatnot, especially in the existing cafeteria, it is pretty dark in there. It's not getting that much light, so we pulled that over to create this breezeway so that we don't affect those classrooms there, so that they're still getting light in there. That will include, obviously, flooring, paint, all of that, and you'll see in the 3D model what that's going to look like three-dimensionally. But we did want to make sure that that was cohesive with that existing cafeteria so that it doesn't feel like we're just slapping it on. We want to make it feel like it's all coordinated and part of the same story.
It's about a third more space.
Yeah. The other big ticket item is the gym renovation, which with the new logo and the new school colors, we really wanted to incorporate that into the gym. So you'll see a little bit later on also that we will be restriping the gym, putting the new logo in there, and then also adding in new retractable bleachers to accommodate the whole school. So that's I think it'll be roughly 600 seat retractable bleachers. Scroll down here near the cafeteria, we're going to renovate the existing restroom right there, and that'll be a full renovation. So we'll do floors, walls, and then all new sinks, toilets, everything. And while looking at that, you know, we noticed this really is the only gang restroom for students, which it is centrally located, but this hallway is so long that it really made sense to also add some restrooms for students and teachers on that side of the classroom as well. So what we did was we took an existing classroom and we split that obviously and added the men's and women's, and then we put the staff restroom on the front. We think that's helpful for teachers to be able to go with their students, and so they can still kind of keep an eye on that, but not feel like, you know, they have to leave the classroom and get someone to come and help. And then we split the front of the storage for this existing classroom so that we could create a janitor's closet. That way they're not running halfway across the building to go and get something to come all the way back on this side. And then next to that, one of the other items that we're covering is we're going to take care of 2 classrooms and designate them as science classrooms. So we'll add in the science casework, and that'll be 4 sink student stations, and then also a teacher station in the front that also has a sink and water for that. So there's that one on this right wing, and then there's also this one next to that bathroom renovation. And that they are identical. So 4 student sections and then 1 teacher section in the front. Scroll down here. The other major interior renovation will be going into the media center and adding in this wall so that we can create a designated conference area, just because the admin area is so full already. And this way it's still connected to the front of the school and the admin area. We'll also designate this vestibule, kind of a private entry exit, but still making sure that this is a secured area. This will obviously also include in the media center, we'll be updating the flooring and paint as well. The 2 biggest, I think, pieces of this renovation addition, we are going to update the roof to a new metal roof. And everything will be matching that way with the addition and look more cohesive, I think. And then obviously we're going to replace the HVAC system completely, minus maybe like the boiler and whatnot. That was recently replaced, so I don't think we have to. Some of the exterior renovations. are obviously the front canopy, the bus canopy. So we'll keep the existing canopy because that one is net old, and connect to that most of the way in front of the school. That way, we'll keep the buses where they're coming in, and students we'll still have the secure entry and exit, but we'll be able to stand out there and be covered in the weather. And you'll see that in the 3D model as well. We'll be repaving basically the entire site, and also up a little bit on this sidewalk or side road, just to clean that up because there are a lot of potholes. We'll be restriping, adding new directionals, markers and whatnot. And we think that will help with the problem of the congestion with the car riders and bus riders. We did go through a couple different options and kind of studies on what we thought would be the best way to kind of help that congestion. So we are completing the loop around the school. That will help. No one will have to kind of back out and in and whatnot. And then we are adding this, the road over here to where the car pickup is. And then also adding a canopy over there as well for students who are waiting. On the back side, you know, when we were there a few months ago, so many students were out here. It's not necessarily a recess or anything, but we know that they use the space, so we just want to make it a better usable space, I guess. So we're putting in the basketball court. That's a little fun. And then we're also adding in this exterior seating places where they could potentially go and sit out in class and whatnot. But to help with security, we're going to put the fencing around, and you'll see that in the model as well. We are going to update the pad for the dumpster, just to designate that a little more so that they know where that is, and clean it up. And then, like I said earlier, we will be repaving the entire back as well, and then updating the loop around this way. Let's get into the 3D. So this is that back side, so you can see where the fencing is, the basketball court, and then up in that same instance, we will be doing all of the sidewalks and whatnot as well. Oh, that's better, yeah. Now you can see it. So this shows kind of what we're thinking for that, the bus area and then the car ride, the car loop. A little more zoomed in. We really wanted to put design emphasis on the canopy in the front. We didn't want it to just be, here's a canopy we're sticking down in front of here, because we do think architecturally it does help the facade on the front. I think it makes it feel more monumental. See, we're doing this cantilever thing, but it also still connects to that original canopy, and we'll make sure that that's all cohesive and blends together well. There's that back side. And we'll zoom into the cafeteria edition. So for the cafeteria edition, look-wise, you know, I mentioned our decision on not fully bringing this over. We wanted to create this breezeway. It's kind of an outdoor-indoor space, especially for these classrooms. The science classroom could come out and potentially use this space, which is why we left it completely concrete, no grass and stuff, so they can come out and do experiments or use the tables out here. North, I believe, is, if you can see my mouse, is running this way. So we wanted to put in these high windows to really pull in the light and hopefully pull that into the existing cafeteria as well. Because we're taking out the windows that are there, so we want to make sure we're pulling that light in and really brighten up that space. On the other side, we have these tall windows as well. So So because we have the lighting and stuff and the windows on both of these sides, you know, we didn't want to overwhelm it on the front. So we just put the exit there, and we kept both of these, we kept this exit on purpose, just so kids weren't, if you did have to leave in an emergency, we weren't overwhelming this door, basically, with all of that traffic. As I mentioned earlier, we have that fencing all the way around. We do have some grass space, so it's not completely concrete jungle out there. And then also the addition of the basketball courts it'll be asphalt with painting, really.
And you all may want to think about, you know, basketball courts are kind of interesting things now because we can do different things on them. So if there's a hopscotch board, or if there's, you know, think about other things that you may want to have striped on there for the different grade levels that you say, hey, it would be nice to have, you know, a couple other activities that we could do out there. And we can maybe even provide you with some options on that. It's not going to be any additional cost because it's paint. But you could really do something. There's a lot of additional activities that you could stripe off. You know, say that they want to come out and pull a net across there and play some other game, we could put that striping in a different color over the basketball court and have 2 or 3 different things and activities that are striped out there, and you can have a multi-use, multi-purpose place. And I think that's what we do see this as, you know, being able to host, like you said, science experiments outside, being able to do things. A lot of the learning activities can be group learning activities in between grades, and you may want to take 2 different grades out, you know, for one activity, and this would kind of give you that outdoor space to do that as well.
Yeah, I feel like we were really making intentional moves on the exterior just as much as we were on the interior, and thinking about how you guys use the space and how students could interact with it. So we'll go inside. So going back to being intentional also, we knew when we were designing this that we wanted to bring this ceiling level up because we knew we were going to try and bring light into that existing cafeteria space. So we raised that roof up. We have all the structure kind of open to above, but we'll have these ceiling grids in there with really minimal kind of can lights probably, just because you're getting so much daylight in here.
And I think you'll all be probably surprised at how much light that provides into that existing cafeteria, because the ceilings are pretty low in there, and pumping enough daylight in here, especially taking advantage of that northern exposure. You know, our sun is always going to hang, comes up in the east, it's always going to hang on the south side. And so that northern exposure, we can have all the glass in the world, we don't have to worry about any kind of solar heat gain.
And right now, we're not showing, you know, we're kind of showing it with a little bit of color and stuff in here. That's not exactly the final color selections or anything, but we were trying to think of, you know, how do we bring in the new school colors but not make it where it's like screaming at you everywhere in the school. So that is the cafeteria edition. I'm going to move into the gym. So the gym flooring will all get restriped and painted with the new logo, painting, and then new bleachers as well, which likely with the new logo and the new name, it's probably a good idea to do some kind of painting and stuff on the wall, so it's generally showing what that might look like. This is a little better of the gym, just so you can clearly see what this is going to look like.
And then the same way with this, you're looking at a volleyball overlaid on top of the basketball.
And this is all, you know, preliminary early on. All of these, even the wording, we can decide, you know, in the construction process, they will send us, you know, our options on colors and how much wording, or if it just says Jackson. So that'll be a conversation, more in detail on what we're actually showing on here. But in general, this is kind of what we were thinking. It's a good mix of, there's more blue in this than I think what we're gonna show in the gym overall is a lot of existing red. So this blends in well with some of that existing stuff that you guys have.
We've done a lot of fun things too. I say fun, but I think it's a little bit more for the sport and kind of understanding where you are and where you're playing with the three-point line. We can shade that part of the wood floor a little bit of a different color than outside the three-point line. We can do the same thing inside the free throw line. So there's little variations in color that we can introduce into that floor. That to Abby's point, there's kind of a starting point for a base point of a floor that you get someone to bid, and then we can really get into the little changes and variations in the flooring color. But that change inside the three-point line, I think, is a really nice trend that is very helpful to people as well.
We have some overall renders. This is just showing that loop and then how it will connect to this.
Y'all might have to get some new mowers to get the lines that perfect in the grass.
Kind of showing some of that sunlight, how it's going to come into this space.
The other good thing about this software, we can play around with those sun angles and really kind of see, this is with no interior artificial light at all.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We don't have any lighting in this, so all of this is our, I guess in this three-dimensional program, we can set the sun exactly where we are in the state of Kentucky, time of day. So this is us kind of playing around with that, seeing how bright it would be without any lighting at all. And then this would be with, would be with lighting in it. And I like kind of that indoor, outdoor, so it feels like, with all of these windows, you're very much seeing what's happening outside, and studies have shown that that is great for students, so that's why we were trying to incorporate as much light, as much windows, in an intentional way as possible. With that is our presentation. Where we are open to questions, if anyone has any, or thoughts and opinions, we're also open to that as well. That was a lot, it's a lot to take in.
So is there any kind of option for like a shaded area in the outside floor?
Yeah, and right now, we're not showing kind of a canopy or anything, but that is also an option to look at that on the backside. We kind of started to think about it. We kind of started to think about it here with the pulling that out, but I mean, and there is that canopy there, but we could think about how we would be covering those table space where people would be using it specifically.
Yeah, and whether that's part of furnishing or whether that's and something like that could be a good add alternate.
Yeah.
So we could say, okay, well, our base bid is going to be without an outside covering, but tell us how much an outside covering would cost, and we could say, okay, well, that's a bell and whistle that we'd like to have, and if it comes within budget, we could maybe think about including that. It really is relative to cost, and that's why it's important for us to work directly with that CM to make sure we're constantly balancing that. A lot of our direction has been to make sure that we're stretching this money as far as we can, because the school's been there for a while. There's things that need updated. The restrooms in particular, I think, is going to be a phenomenal change, because it's just going to be night and day. But but most certainly, I think we're stretching that money on the inside as much as we can, and if we can do something like that on the outside, it'd probably be like an add-on or something to consider.
And now that we have kind of these bigger items set, we'll start to get a little more detailed in the additions and stuff, like canopies and sun cover and whatnot for those spaces.
Yeah, the roofing is like, that's a big necessity. HVAC is a big necessity. And sometimes those are things that you don't see as much or people wouldn't notice as much, but it's gonna take this school decades down the road. I mean, the metal roof we're putting on this is going to last, very many years.
What kind of timeline are we thinking about getting started?
I think originally, this is the SD phase, we'll immediately move into DD and CDs with our consultants. After talking with our construction manager, we're looking at going out to bid in October.
So SD is a schematic design. That's where we we like to call it, throw those spaghetti on the wall and see what sticks. And so really trying to figure out how to stretch the money and make as much of an impact on the usable functional pieces of the school. And then the DD and CD is design development and construction documents. That's where Abby works with our MP&E engineers, structural engineers, civil engineers, and they start to actually put the details into the pretty picture stuff. So think of SDs as the pretty picture. We're at the end of establishing the pretty picture. We know what's going to stick on the wall as far as the budget, and now we'll release the engineers to get started on the nuts and bolts of how to put it together for a set of bid documents.
And I said, and out to bid in October, we would have that 3 to 4 week period where we'd have to advertise. So technically, we would be done the month before that, and you all would be able to see those CDs and get those approved. And then October would be when we would receive bids.
And then, as far as, I don't know if it's an 8 or 12 months construction, but that construction manager component will also help us work through what's happening in the school. So what parts, if we know that we're in October and we know that we're in school, what parts of that can we do that's not going to affect the school, and where can we work that won't affect the school until we have to, and how to dovetail those into different breaks and summertime and things like that.
Winter, that's kind of, we knew we weren't going to make this summer, so we were kind of thinking this gives us a little extra time, and then we'll be hitting right at that winter break, which is pretty long, which we're hoping that we would be able to get some good stuff done during that time. But at that point, we will have kind of a phasing plan. We'll have to think about how that works with students and teachers and make sure that's not disrupting you all.
The ceiling suggestion for the cafeteria is, I know aesthetically and stuff, it'd be nice to have extra lighting and stuff. Is there any kind of risk for that? I mean, is it harder to maintain? Is it a higher insurance cost?
No.
Yeah. And I would say most schools now are kind of leaning toward updating ceilings and stuff like that and opening them up. A lot are getting rid of the grids in general. So it's just, we really like it. I think it helps kind of bring in that light, because we were talking about, that the existing cafeteria ceiling is pretty low. So we didn't want to continue that straight in and feel like it's just right over your head, because no light was coming in on that back side of the building. So that's kind of what led us to that decision for that shape of the massing in general, and then also the ceiling as well.
Which one of the construction managers, the man out of Korea, work with you? They work with you on that?
Stephen Osborne is who I've been in contact with, but Jimmy Godell obviously is just as much involved. He was here at a few of our meetings.
Seems like Travis was involved too, but I
Yeah,
can't.
I think it was Jimmy and Travis were at our first meeting, and then Stephen Osborne is I think who's been doing our cost estimates.
And they'll have, there's kind of two parts to the construction management phase. So there's a pre-construction services part, and then normally they'll turn it over to a person who's handling construction. So once we do that set of bid documents, they'll put together bid packages. So it'll go out in a concrete package, electrical package. Once they assign everything, lock in the maximum price on the project, they'll usually have a site manager, you know, that's their site superintendent. Typically, that's different than who you're dealing with pre-construction, who's doing estimating services and stuff like that.
You used to go real well through every time.
I've always done a good job.
Is he still short?
It ain't growing.
It's being recorded.
We've got a long history working with them.
I bet you are.
We've worked with many construction managers, but I would say, one thing about construction management, I think of a certain size project, we used to say, you know, before 2020, that we would look at the size of a project as far as whether it seemed to make sense or not make sense as far as having a construction manager, which is an extra owner's agent. Right now, with the volatility of the market, most all of the public projects that we're working on have a construction manager almost of any size. This is a significant size project for the district. It's important to make sure that that money's spent wisely. It's important to make sure that what we're putting in the plans not only stretches the dollar, but doesn't get beyond the dollar. And it's important to drive people to bidding these projects, which I think a CM can do in this, because a lot of people are, it is a little fortunate, and ESSER money and ARPA money, both are kind of, I think 2024 is when they have to be expended. And so there may be a vacuum after that, you know, people are looking to pulled in more work. But right now, getting people to come to bid a job is difficult. And it's not every trade, but it's some trades. Mechanical, casework for some reason.
Work.
What's that?
Nobody to work.
Yeah.
No can work, can speak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to start teaching Spanish. More and more every day.
That and getting people into trades colleges, which is happening pretty quickly too. You know, we're doing a lot of work with ATCs that are trying to cross over into whether it's, you know, carpentry or electrician, or they're trying to figure out how to work with the community colleges to put those people into the trades programs, because they're definitely, you know, we've spent a couple of decades telling kids that they needed to go get a certain professional degree, and we almost talked them out of these jobs that are so important, that we need right now, and there's not enough people in the workforce to do.
There's 2 items on the agenda, I think, to get the ball rolling, geotechnical.
Yeah, geotech and the survey as well.
Okay, can you explain that just briefly?
Yeah, so the survey is obviously surveying the site. It's going to give us the drop-offs on the side, which is really important, and then obviously where all the utilities are. So we reached out, and we do this typically, we send out RFPs for geotechnical and survey. We get 3 or 4 back, just so that we make sure we're getting the best dollar amount. And we do look at the dollar amount as well as what kind of work and the level of work that those people are doing. So we've sent out for both of those. We got a lot of proposals back. For technically our LA handles the survey because he really needs it the most. And then the geotechnical, we did that. And I can't remember off the top of my head what that number was, the low number was, but it was significantly lower. It was a very good offer from, it's not CSI,
Kelly Griggs,
No.
CSI,
Solid Ground. Solid
yeah.
Ground, super respectable company in Lexington. We've used them a lot. And they were probably about $1,000 below the other bidders and a month faster in getting the work done. So with the approval today, if tonight at the board meeting, we'll get those people started, and We should get, with geotechnical, we mark out where they're gonna do those borings in the ground and tell us if there's rock or not rock and where it is. So that we know that ahead of time, and then in construction, that doesn't come back and bite us in the butt with a change order. So if we get those approved tonight, we should get those back, mid-July, so in the next few weeks, really.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Everybody good?
Now, the circle, I know now we're putting a circle around the house, all around the school. Will that aid in the parent picking up kids, get them out of the way?
Yeah,
It's a lot
absolutely.
longer Stephen actually
How much
measured.
in front of we gonna asphalt, all of it?
Yeah, so nearly the entire site will be repaved. That way we can add in those directional stuff to help aid in the car loop and the bus pickup. But the other reason for, realistically, you have most of this is already paved, so that's already suggesting, hey, this is really gonna help your car pickup if you add this right here, because right now students were having to walk across this grass area and get picked up by their parent over that guardrail. So this helps with safety, but it also helps with the congestion that was happening right at that intersection right here.
I thought it was a good idea. It's a lot safer, a lot better.
Yeah, and this is
For
really.
minimal,
Yeah.
it really isn't, it's
You're
not that big of
changing
a cost.
Yeah, you're not, the
Yeah.
site's pretty flat, it's been, it's not like we're moving a lot of earth to make this happen, it's putting paving in.
Mhm.
But I think that's part of us getting out here and kind of watching what happens during pickup, and, like I said, we're working with a landscape architect that's been doing schools for many years, and so it was pretty quick that they came up and said, hey, this is an option. And I think it was something that we hadn't 100% really came up with on our own. He
Came
watched.
with us to a site visit, which was right at the time where all these kids were running out. So we really got the full experience of what the afternoon pickup is like. All of the buses, we counted all the buses that were gonna be there, and
Parents'
they showed-
cars.
yeah. So we really got the full extent of kind of how messy it was. So that's why we're kind of just picking these minor things that we thought could fix that congestion.
Makes you wonder what it was like that all.
That means it's probably a good design, right? If you're saying this should be this way, it's probably a good design. But with evolution, I think,
That may be too his own home, but you.
I think, I think things, I've been known to do that, but if somebody says it's a good job, you gotta accept that. But, I think things too have changed a little bit after 2020, and you start to see more parents come. We've seen that change a lot. Things have just changed a lot.
Well, I'll have to agree, I'm impressed with
I appreciate
you.
it.
Good.
Truly.
Good.
If I didn't, I'd tell you, okay?
Good. We like that too, though. Yeah.
We can deal with straightforward and honest, that's what.
Now, what if we get in a bind here on a bonding permit, we don't come up with enough money, then we're gonna keep the necessities and do away with the extras, right?
Absolutely. And we do, you kind of mentioned it earlier, we do have the option to put alternates into the bid set. So we would get a dollar amount in the bids for some of those things, but we don't necessarily have to take them. We could say, oh, that's over our dollar amount, we're not going to accept that.
Okay. So you're gonna be the design team that keeps out all the change orders, right?
That's what we're striving for. My dad spent over 30 years in
Yes, the
construction.
answer is yes, we are.
Never mind, as you can go there, you're not kidding.
I will never say that you're gonna do a job with no change orders, because they just happen. But, you've gotta, the thing is you have to get in there, you have to work through the good and the bad. And so, one of the things I think we try to pride ourselves on is whether it's good news or bad news, we're gonna bring it to you, we're gonna shoot you straight, we're not gonna try to sugarcoat it. If it's a problem, we'll tell you it's a problem and we'll work through it. But,
Supervisor. Should we go along with this?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Appreciate you guys coming down tonight.
Yep.
It was a good presentation, very good.
good.
Thank you, we appreciate you guys, we're excited to give you a good product, we really are. It's always nice to work for a board that you're friends with. Where am I from? Frankfurt.
You You live in Franklin now?
No, I mean, I live in Lexington. I guess I should say I'm from
Oh, I thought so,
Lexington.
Eastern Kentucky.
Is it my accent?
I'm the one from Eastern Kentucky.
You have the accent, don't you?
Oh, he
A
gets
little
real
bit.
country.
It depends on when I need to turn it on.
I like the way your career started, I like them socks and that shirt. Yeah.
I'm from Emelina
See here?
in Knott County.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Two different boots. He's ready for a party and then ready for business
I
after.
ain't gonna 40 days roll with.
We'll see.
That's his kicking foot.
This is-
Yeah, that is
This is a build-up shoot,
your, yeah.
and this is my, you know, one leg
Party
on
shoot.
the other, you know.
Well, we appreciate
Burn
it.
home just like that.
Do what?
You got another burn home just like that.
That's right, but I get worse.
Yeah, the opposite truth.
It's not for fun,
And if you guys think of any questions and stuff afterwards, you can absolutely pass those on to Steven or Mr. Smith, and they will pass those on to us.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Yep.
everybody.
Thank you.
Good.
Well, that's what I'm doing. Well, probably,
Okay.
Oh, really? Was it this one or the
That concludes item 2A on the agenda. We'll move to item 2B, which is substitute report, personnel report. As always, that's enclosed as an attachment for your review. When communication's been completed, I'll turn the meeting over to Chairman Neely with item number 3.
Item number 3, approval of bills and claims, need a motion.
move it, pay.
Second.
Second. Ms. Allen,
Yes.
Ms. Hyson,
Yes.
Ms. Nicholson,
Yes.
Mr. Hicks.
Yes.
Yes, indeed. Item 4, approval of minutes for May 16, 2023 regular board meeting, need a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Ms. Hyson,
Yes.
Ms. Nicholson,
Yes.
Mr. Hicks.
No due to absence.
Ms. Allen.
Yes.
Yes, indeed. Item 5, approval of professional service agreement with D&L surveying for the geological or geotechnical site survey for the Jackson County Middle School renovation program. Need a motion?
Motion.
Need a second?
Second.
Thank you all again.
Thank you.
Be careful.
Bye-bye.
Uh-huh.
Ms. Nicholson?
Yes.
Mr. Hicks?
Yes.
Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Ms. Hyson?
Yes.
Yes, indeed. Item 5, approval of proposal agreement with Solid Ground Consulting Engineers, PLLC, for the geotechnical engineering services for the Jackson County Middle School renovation project. Need a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Mr. Hicks?
Yes.
Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Ms. Hyson?
Yes.
Ms. Nicholson?
Yes.
Yes, indeed. Item 7, approval of the KDE Superintendent Statement of Assurance, Federal Cash Request Statement for the assurance of the Jackson County District Funding Assurance for 2023 and 2024. Need a motion?
Motion.
Need a second?
Second.
Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Ms. Hyson?
Yes.
Ms. Nicholson?
Yes.
Mr. Hicks?
Yes.
Yes, indeed. Item 8, approval of bond treasurer and pledge of collateral agreement for the public school funds for the 2023 and 2024 school year. Need a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Ms. Hyson?
Yes.
Ms. Nicholson?
Yes.
Mr. Hicks?
Yes.
Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Yes, indeed. Item 9, approval of 2023 and 2024 school year district representatives for the Sharing Special Educational Arc meetings. Need a motion?
Motion.
Need a second?
Second.
Mr. Hicks?
Yes.
Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Ms. Hyson?
Yes.
Ms. Nicholson?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. 10, approval of Jackson County district-wide Title I parent involvement policies. Need a motion?
Motion?
Need a second?
Second.
Mr. Hicks?
Yes.
Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Ms. Nicholson?
Yes.
Ms. Hyson?
Yes.
Yes, indeed. Item 11, approval of the Jackson County High School Perkins Grant 2023 and 2024 school year district funding assurance. Need a motion?
Motion.
Need a second?
Second?
Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Ms. Hyson? Ms. Nicholson?
Yes.
Mr. Hicks?
Yes.
Yes, for me. Item 12, approval of memorandum of agreement between the Kentucky Department of Education Office of Career and Technical Education and the Jackson County Board of Education. Need a motion?
Move to it.
Need a second?
Second?
Ms. Hyson?
Yes.
Ms. Nicholson?
Yes.
Mr. Hicks?
Yes.
Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Item 13, approval of first reading of the KSBA 2023 policy update number 46 and administrative policy update number 25. Need a motion?
Motion?
Need a second?
Second.
Ms. Nicholson?
Yes.
Mr. Hicks?
Yes.
Ms. Hyson?
Yes.
Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Let's see. Item 14, approval of the renewal digital programming for the 2023 and 2024 school year. Need a motion?
Motion.
Need a second?
Second?
Ms. Hyson?
Yes.
Ms. Nicholson?
Yes.
Mr. Hicks?
Yes.
Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Item 15, approval of Jackson County Public Schools virtual learning program criteria for the 2022 and 2023 and 2024 school year pending KDE review and approval. Need a motion?
Move to it.
Need a second?
Second?
Mr. Hicks?
Yes.
Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Ms. Hyson?
Yes.
Ms. Nicholson?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Item 16, approval of integrity agreement with the Community Action Council for the South Central Head Start for the 2023 and 2024 school year. Need a motion?
Make a motion.
Need a second?
Second.
Ms. Hyson?
Yes.
Ms. Nicholson?
Yes.
Mr. Hicks?
Yes.
Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Item 17, approval to participate in the Elgin Bible Release Program for the 2023 and 2024 school year. Need a motion?
Motion?
Second.
Second.
Ms. Nicholson?
Yes.
Mr. Hicks?
Yes.
Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Ms. Hyson?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Item 18, approval of the 2023 and 2024 South Central Education Cooperative Membership Dues. Need a motion?
Motion.
Need a second?
Second.
Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Ms. Hyson?
Yes.
Ms. Nicholson?
Yes.
Mr. Hicks?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Item 19, approval of annual bids. Need a motion?
Motion?
Need a second?
Second.
Ms. Hyson?
Yes.
Ms. Nicholson?
Yes.
Mr. Hicks?
Yes.
Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Item 20, approval of the Jackson County Public School procurement plan for the child nutrition program. Need a motion?
Motion?
Need a second?
Second.
Ms. Nicholson?
Yes.
Mr. Hicks?
Yes.
Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Ms. Hyson?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Item 21, approval of the Jackson County High School CTE and LABEC memorandum of agreement for the budget for the 2023 and 2024 school year. Need a motion?
Motion.
Need a second?
Second?
Mr. Hicks?
Yes.
Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Ms. Hyson?
Yes.
Ms. Nicholson?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Item 22, approval to establish and reestablish. Need a motion?
Motion?
Need a second?
Second.
Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Ms. Hyson?
Yes.
Ms. Nicholson?
Yes.
Mr. Hicks?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Item 23, approval of fundraisers. Need a motion?
Motion.
Need a second?
Second?
Mr. Hicks?
Yes.
Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Ms. Hyson?
Yes.
Ms. Nicholson?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. And item have anybody sign in on the top or anything?
Did you have anything, Becky? Did you have anything?
Well, we've just been hearing some rumors that we was wanting to make sure that they're not true about the schools and the transgender stuff.
Let's let her sign in, please.
I mean, that's just, I've always been one, if you want to know something, go straight to the source, don't beat around the bush.
Absolutely. So, Ms. Hoffman, whenever you're ready, we'll be glad to try to answer your questions.
I didn't know I was going to be the singer here. No, we've been hearing that they're going to let, like, the kids that comes to school, and the girls that says they're boys, and the boys that says they're girls are allowed to use the other bathrooms. Like if a boy says, well, I'm a girl, they have to let him use the girls' bathroom. If the girl says, no, well, I'm a boy, they have to let her use the boys' bathroom. Now,
It's the simple answer to that, that's not correct.
well, we're just hearing all kinds of
And you
things.
know
and
me, I just shoot it down the middle like it is, you've known me a long time. And basically Senate Bill 150 that the legislature passed back in January, February, March, back at that time, and we'll implement the bill as written, but it says if you're a biological boy, you go to the boys' restroom, you go to an alternate restroom. If you're a biological girl, you would go to the girls' restroom. You won't have a biological boy going to a girls' restroom or vice versa. For example, I've already worked with a high school, middle school principal at the middle school. They would either go to their biological restroom or they would go to the staff restroom in the administrative area. That would be the alternate. Or at the high school, they would go to the coach's office. There's a full restroom in there. I think that's what Mr. Harrison's plan. If they don't want to go to their biological restroom, they would go to that one.
Okay.
So the short answer is, if they're a boy, they will not be going to the girls' restroom, biological boy, or if they're a biological girl, they will not be going in the boys' restroom. Does that answer your question?
That question, do we have any more?
They don't want to race, that's fine.
They've heard that if they come in and say that they're like, not really transgender, if they want to say that they're a cat, that they have to have a litter box for them to go use a litter box because they say they're a cat or a dog.
There'll be no litter boxes. Is that the first statement?
That's correct.
I mean, that's just what we've been hearing, and I said, you know, if there's only one way to find out, go straight to the source, ask about it, you know.
But we'll, the first part is under Senate Bill 150, we'll definitely implement it as written. We've already got preliminary planning with the high school, middle school principal like we discussed. And the other thing about the litter box, if they think they're a cat or a rabbit or whatever it may be, there will be no litter boxes.
Do all of our schools contain an extra bathroom that would make that possible?
I'm going to have to work with elementaries. I just had an opportunity to work with the middle and high school.
Connor does.
Connor does, definitely. McKee does, definitely. The Gap, I'll have to check. But again, regardless, biological boy goes to boys' restroom. Biological girl goes to girls' restroom or an alternate restroom.
Will they have to send something home to all the parents before they can ever let them do anything different than that?
That's a law. It's Senate Bill 150.
That was actually part of our agenda tonight. Item number 13 that was actually part of that we approved.
But we'll implement the law as written, which is Senate Bill 150, if you want to look it up. But pretty much, Mr. Bryce, did I explain it properly?
And this about litter boxes, I've talked with people in KDE because I've heard that, you know, at different board meetings. As far as KDE's told me that as far as they know, that has never occurred in any public school in Kentucky. Well, I don't know where the rumor came from, but it's never happened in Kentucky.
I would think that would be some type of a health hazard. I mean, my opinion, it would be bad.
Yeah, there's all sorts of things wrong with that.
Usually it's litter pads, and kind of what you want to put them in, urns. And I use that, but, you know, I did have a guy come to me the other day, told me we need about litter, about a ton, it's cheaper that way.
So I hope I answered your questions, and gave you a very honest and direct answer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that concludes public comment. The next part, we have to go into executive session. I'll let Mr. Neely go again, I'm sorry.
So item 25, approval to enter into executive session as permitted by PRS 61.8101F. Need a motion?
What do we do?
Need a second? Ms. Hyson? Ms. Nicholson?
Yes.
Mr. Hicks?
Yes.
Ms. Ellis? Mr. Legislature.
All I want to see is that.